Probopass is one of the strangest Pokemon ever released. This large-nosed creature was an evolution for Nosepass introduced in the Gen 4 games. This funny fellow has absolutely enormous defensive stats, but unfortunately, it has one of the worst defensive typings in the game. Rock Steel. Times for weaknesses to ground and fighting are absolutely horrible, and without much in its toolkit to provide recovery or valuable utility, Probopass tends to be a lower tier choice in competitive Pokemon. Probopass does have one interesting trait up its sleeve though, and that is the ability Magnet Pull. This is an ability that traps enemy Steel-type Pokemon and prevents them from switching out. Historically, this has been quite a good ability. Steel is one of the best types in the game, and there are usually multiple top-tier Steel types, no matter what OU format you're playing. By trapping and eliminating Steel types, you can enable your teammates with offensive options that are blocked by Steel types. Physical offense teams back in Gen 3 OU are built around this idea, using Magneton to eliminate physical walls like Skarmory and Forretress, and then sweep with powerful physical attackers. Magnezone can do much the same thing in Gen 4 and 5 OU. Even Alolan Golem has been used for its niche ability to trap and eliminate Heatran using Magnet Pull. Compared to all of these other Magnet Pull users, Probopass is not particularly desirable. It has terrible offensive stats, and it takes a while to actually eliminate whatever you're trapping. Magneton and Magnezone are both quite threatening Pokemon that are surprisingly useful beyond just the role of trapping Steel types. The same cannot really be said for Probopass, since it is so slow and has such poor defensive typing. It does have some useful utility like Stealth Rock and Thunder Wave, but it's hard to actually find ways to take advantage of these tools when so many things threaten you. However, in Generation 9, Probopass finally gained a tool to actually let it pose more of a threat. The move Body Press. Body Press is a fighting type attack that deals damage based on the user's defense stat instead of their attack stat. Probopass has a massive defense stat, so this actually hits really hard. Fighting is a nice type for Body Press too, since it's super effective against Steel, the type that you're aiming to trap. The player Joltin Joe on the Smogon forums saw potential in this new tool and decided to try building a Gen 9 OU team around it, and he managed to hit an impressive rating of number 2 on the ladder using Probopass, a Pokemon that is currently ranked all the way down in ZU, the lowest possible tier in Smogon's usage-based tiering system. What can Probopass achieve that has made it so successful on this team? Well, it's actually a fantastic counter to the number 1 most powerful and most popular Pokemon in Gen 9 OU, Kingambit. Thanks to Magnet Pull, Probopass can trap Kingambit completely, preventing it from switching out. Probopass has a huge physical defense stat and can hold its own against this offensive monster quite well as a result. And thanks to Body Press, you have a hard-hitting, ×4 super effective attack that can straight up one-hit KO Kingambit. For the first time in generations, Probopass has some real advantages over the other Magnet Pull users in the game. Even though Magnezone can learn Body Press too, and it has a respectable defense stat of its own, the significantly higher defense stat of Probopass is absolutely noteworthy, especially against a Pokemon as powerful as Kingambit is. Here's the full team by Joltin Joe, and it's quite interestingly structured. You can check out the thread linked below for detailed reasoning behind every Pokemon choice, but basically, the game plan is to eliminate Kingambit, and then these Pokemon here, like Sinistcha, which is nicknamed Iron Mugulis, that's a bit suspicious, and this Carmine Agility Stored Power Iron Crown, both benefit greatly from Kingambit being eliminated. They're both weak to Dark, they both hate that Sucker Punch, but with Kingambit reliably eliminated by Great Nose over here, along with the support of screens from Grimmsnarl to enable them to set up, it's kind of a hyper-offense team that just goes in with these offensive threats as soon as Kingambit is eliminated and tries to win very quickly. And Joltin Joe also has alternative plans for bad matchups that would otherwise make the game plan of this team kind of crumble. Like, what if the Kingambit has low kick is something he talked about, and there is a plan for that situation. If the Kingambit has low kick, it means that they probably lack Iron Head, because low kick requires a move slot, and you have to cut something. Usually that's Iron Head. So in the event that the Kingambit has a set that lacks Iron Head, Terra Fairy Sinistcha is able to 1v1 it, because it only has Fighting and Dark for coverage, both of which are resisted by Fairy. It can sit here, Carmine, Strength Sap for health, and just snowball out of control, probably win the game. Use Kingambit as a setup opportunity, so even if Probopass comes in and gets KO'd by low kick from Kingambit, it is able to find a plan to win in that instance. Another thing that can happen is that Kingambit can terrastalize so that it resists fighting. And even in that event, you have teammates that can punish a terrastalized Kingambit. Iron Crown has Steel coverage, which hits Fairy-type Kingambit super effectively. And Kyurem has Ice coverage, which hits Flying-type Kingambit super effectively as well. Grimmsnarl not only works to support these boost sweepers, these 3 boost sweepers, with Light Screen and Reflect to give them more room to set up, it also helps Probopass by allowing pivot opportunities with Parting Shot. You can't actually hit Kingambit with Parting Shot, unfortunately, because it's Dark type, and Dark types are immune to Prankster moves. And Parting Shot is one of those moves, but you can actually enable Heatran to get trapped. If you have a Light Screen up and you Parting Shot to lower its special attack, you can bring in Probopass, and you have enough special defense naturally, and with their nerfed special attack and the support from Light Screen, you can actually, in that situation, 1v1 Heatran and trap and eliminate them. Which is fantastic news for your Iron Crown, who doesn't really like Heatran, because Heatran resists all of these attacks right here. So the ability to eliminate both Kingambit and sometimes Heatran, thanks to Grimmsnarl, helps a lot. You might also be thinking that Dondozo could be a bad matchup for this team that spams so many boosts. Well, he even thought of that one, because this particular Kyurem is actually a mixed Dragon Dance Kyurem, with precisely enough special attack to 2-hit KO a Dondozo. And if they Terrastalize, they leave themselves vulnerable to something else. Terra Fairy, Tachyon Kata suddenly hits them hard. Terra Steel, guess what? They get trapped by Great Nose now. Also Headlong Rush, also Earth Power from this. I actually think this team is very cool because it has multiple branching paths that are really interesting. Gen 9 is a world where you have to cover multiple different realities because something that gets counted by something specific now has the get out of jail free card of Terra, but you can use that to your advantage. You can force them to Terra if they want to survive with the Probopass. Get info about their Terra. Now they've spent that resource and you have all the tools to handle the common Terra types of Kingambit. Probopass can also Terra himself if you like. That's another way to dodge low kick, is if you become fighting type, and it also allows you to trap more steel types that could otherwise threaten you, maybe like an Iron Treads or something. You're Terra fighting to dodge the incoming ground attack and hit them with the big body press. Something like that might be actually useful depending on the matchup. Let's take a look at one of the high ladder replays where this Probopass team was used against what looks like a very meta team with Kingambit, Raging Bolt, Zamazenta, Great Tusk. Let's see how this one played out. You lead with the Grimmsnarl, which makes sense. You can pivot against various things, set up your useful screens. You can dodge that taunt thanks to some priority from Prankster. This allows Kyurem to hit the field and the enemy is under fire all of a sudden. Kingambit has been baited in, and this is a perfect opportunity for Probopass to hit the field if they want to. Actually just goes for a straight up Earth Power instead, bringing Kingambit very low. Playing around Sucker Punch by switching in the Probopass, and the enemy doesn't want to commit to Terra. That's the thing. This early game, and you commit to Terra with Kingambit, that's quite dangerous. So even though they can Terra to avoid such a situation, it's not always the best idea to lose the ability to Terra. Now Joltin Joe is going into the Iron Mugulis right here, hitting him with the Strength Sap to heal all of its health back against Zamazenta. And I think that could probably 1v1 the guy long term, if I'm being honest. Raging Bolt has got the threat of Draco Meteor. Actually just went for a Thunderbolt, but easy sack. Sacrifice Kyurem for the safe Great Tusk entry point. And I'm sure Joltin Joe is going to go for the Rapid Spin here to get rid of those pesky Stealth Rocks. No Spin Blocker on the enemy's side. And look at how good Sinistcha is without Kingambit to worry about. Matcha Gotcha is going to potentially drain this Great Tusk XP while burning it. And look at what Strength Sap does. It totally disables the Great Tusk's ability to sweep with Bulk Up. Heals itself all the way back up. Great Tusk entering on what could be an electric move. Same difference. You could click Ice Spinner here as a mid-ground if you want. Absolutely does. And chipping down this Great Tusk slowly but surely. Once again, look at how freely Sinistcha can just come in. Heal all of its health back up. Goes for the Matcha Gotcha. It just takes out that low Raging Bolt while healing itself in the process. I mean, Iron Moth can threaten the guy, but it's stepping on rocks every single time. Sinistcha also has Heat Proof, by the way, so it doesn't even take that much from the Fiery Dance if it comes to that. It could even maybe Calm Mind up and just win 1v1, to be honest. But Joltin Joe playing it safe anyway, just force the guy out with Headlong Rush. Now it doesn't have its booster energy, it's taken rocks every time. This plan is working perfectly against a pretty standard Gen 9 OU team. It's well equipped for the metagame, evidently. So with a Light Screen and a Parting Shot, look at this, Iron Chop is about to hit the Weakness Policy boost. And Agility up. Folks, it's over. There's no way to threaten this enough to actually stop it from sweeping right here. The Stored Power sweep goes in. And guess who is immune to stored power. Kingambit, who is no longer with us. The Terra to cover the enemy's Terra in case of some nonsense. Why not? Why not do it? Maybe the Zamazenta lives after its Terra and you live the subsequent crunch with that defensive Terra water. This is the game that actually peaked Joltenjo's rating with a 2050 elo. I mean, that is damn impressive with a team that, if you looked at it at a glance, you would think, what the heck is this? But actually, it's brilliant. Every Pokemon pulling its weight. They're all helping out in this battle. They all did their part. And I think that's wonderful. I said this in my previous video covering that Bellibolt team, but I really feel like the Gen 9 OU metagame is getting more interesting recently with teams like this thriving. As long as you have a solid foundational idea behind a team, you can make it work. There's actually quite a lot of tools at your disposal and interesting ways to build around. Even something as crazy as Probopass can have its day. But what do you think, folks? Are you enjoying Gen 9 OU's current metagame? What do you think of this intriguing Probopass team? What would you like me to talk about next? Let me know down below in the comments, and thank you for watching.